Hello and welcome once again to Crush Your Mountain Wellness. I am Henry Gaskins, your certified health and life coach. And listen, if any of the information is valuable to you, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Share this information with others. I've got powerhouse guests with me each week, and guess what? Today is no different. I have with me Miss Brittany Sirota. Let me tell you a little about her. She is the head of a company called EVOLVE. EVOLVE deals specifically with hormonal peptide and telemedicine. Now, a couple of weeks ago, you may have heard me talk with Dr. Ray Dorsey about the importance of telemedicine when it comes to dealing with individuals out in rural areas who can't get to a doctor right away. Technology can be our friend. Technology can be problematic at times, but technology is there for the convenience and help of society. And Miss Brittany Sirota, being the head of business relations with her company, really has taken the lead in terms of helping individuals to regulate their bodies. We're going to talk a little bit more about her. Let's bring her right on. Brittany Sirota, welcome to Crush Your Mountain Wellness.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here today to talk to you guys about Evolve Telemedicine, what we do and how we help people.
Well, tell us, what do you do and how do you help people? We'll just jump right in that way.
Perfect. So we are a telemedicine company. We're a concierge practice, meaning we are not confined by the insurance rules and regulations. We are a patient-driven, personalized care program where we specialize in bioidentical hormone and peptide therapies. So you may be asking, what are bioidentical hormones and peptide therapies? Well, one, hormones are the chemical messengers in the body. They are what communicate to our organs and system processes and tell them what to do. Now, what are peptides? Peptides are combinations of amino acids, which are the building blocks of the body, and they as well play a role in our day-to-day processes.
So we're talking about signaling agents that actually basically communicate with the body, and we can't forget our microbiome either, because the gut bacteria, the microbiome actually communicates as well. So your company deals specifically with the various aspects, the various proteins that act as signaling agents to regulate our bodies and bring them into optimum health. Am I correct?
Absolutely, yes. That's where we stand out, getting to the root of the problem, because our modern medicine, unfortunately, is a sick model. We take people, we list our symptoms, and then we mask the response in the form of a prescription medication. At Evolve, because we are not driven by insurance, we are allowed to look at the body at a personalized level and get to the root of the problem to help rebuild you and have you live a happier, healthier, and more productive life.
So we're talking about functional medicine. That's basically what we're talking about. There's a movie that came out a few years ago dealing with the pharmaceutical industry and the horrible effects that many of the antidepressants have on the body. When we think about how the insurance company is complicit in this sick care model, where we spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes with the doctor only to have them give us another pill, and then another pill, and then another pill on top of that. The functional medicine model really is better in that sense. It is more expensive. It is pricier. However, what price do we put on our life and our health? That's my question.
Absolutely.
So, talking to us a little bit more, let's kind of dig in a little bit and hone in a little bit. We have a lot of our guests deal with type 2 diabetes and obesity. What can we do? What can Evolve do in terms of helping them?
Absolutely. So let me tell you a little bit about my story, because if I was to have continued on the path, even though I am an active female, I do CrossFit, I am a nutrition coach, I know how to do all the things, but unfortunately my body wasn't processing optimally. So I was on that track of being pre-diabetic and diabetic, 10, 20 years from now, if I didn't address what was going on inside. According to, my normal doctors, I'm within range, but that wasn't the case. So my story with Evolve, about a year ago, I've been on a journey for probably about 15 years on how to feel better, look better, and, you know, just live, because I felt like this can't be how you're supposed to feel. I'm tired all the time. I only feel good if I work out or if I have a little bit of a caffeine buzz. Not okay, right? So I got referred to Evolve, you know, after thousands upon thousands of supplements, nutritionists, naturopaths, acupuncturists, you know, lots of people who have definitely helped me learn and become who I am today. But it wasn't until Evolve until I really deeply understood the importance of health at a personalized level and looking at, you know, your blood work and really breaking down the markers to understand what's going on. So to come on as a patient, I'll kind of break down and tell my journey and the patient process at the same time. So I had my free consultation. They kind of talked to me about what Evolve is, what they do, how they help. And I talked to them about what I've done, what I was experiencing, and see if it made sense to, you know, move forward together, because we want people who are ready to make that commitment to their health and living better lives. I was all on board. It was $299 to retain the doctor's services for the year. So that was whether I wanted to meet with a doctor once or 6 times. It's a full year's worth of being able to access the doctors. And then I got prescribed blood work. I went to a LabCorp close by. I got my labs done. And as soon as that was done, I uploaded my paperwork and I scheduled my one-on-one with my physician. They blew my mind with how they broke down my labs. They explained what each marker did. They explained how they worked together. And they found 2 things. One, I was borderline insulin resistant, meaning my body wasn't processing glucose the way it should. So naturally, I wasn't losing the weight the way that I wanted to. I wasn't having the energy levels I wanted because I wasn't processing optimally. And then 2, they found that my testosterone level was that of a 70-year-old woman. So not only that, my hormones were imbalanced. And I don't know if you guys know this, but testosterone and vitamin D kind of go hand in hand. So my vitamin D levels were really, really low as well. So, you know, we had to work on building those back. Here we are about a year later. I always was at a level of like 155, 160 weight wise. You know, I wasn't extremely heavy, but I had that midsection that I wanted to have gone, and I couldn't do anything to get rid of it. Now today I'm 137 and 15% body fat. My hormone levels are balanced. And I'm working now for Evolve because of how much I believe in this company, because of how much it changed my life.
I'll tell you the reason why that's so amazing is because so many of us wind up in a situation where we wind up going to the doctor says, okay, well, either you're pre-diabetic or you're just full-blown diabetic. And they'll say, well, we have to put you on insulin. In doing so, what happens is that so many individuals don't realize that all of a sudden they're gaining the weight, and the doctor says, well, you have to lose weight. And they try to lose the weight, but they're gaining the weight, not realizing it's the insulin that's signaling the body to pack it on. You know, that's one of the biggest challenges. And then we're living in a society now, you mentioned about the vitamin D deficiency. We're living in a society now where people are spending more time indoors and not spending more time outdoors. They're not getting the sunlight, which actually stimulates the production of vitamin D in the body. They're not taking the supplements in many cases. They're not having the proper nutrition that also deals with that. So kudos to you for taking the steps that you did for yourself. And then my question now is, when it comes to helping individuals, you mentioned tests. Okay, I like the model of having an entire access to your doctor for about $300 for an year. That's one thing. But now let's talk a little bit about the tests that are involved. I would guess that male tests are different than female tests. Okay, so do you have an idea of how we can help each individual?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, like I said, like it's very personalized per person. So we have, you know, if you come to us with gut health issues, we have a gut health panel that will run. You could do stool samples, you could do blood work. You know, we have comprehensive labs, we have comprehensive plus labs. It really is based on what you have going on, because we want to hone in on how you are feeling. There's not one general, like our comprehensive plus is a general lab work that covers, your stress markers, your thyroid markers, your other hormone markers, your CBC with differentials, but I mean, that's not to say that you're not going to get heavy metal testing done. We have food profile testing that we can do. We have weight loss panels to run. I mean, again, the doctor prescribes based on what you have going on. So like what my blood work would be isn't necessarily like what yours would be if you came to us as a patient. So that's why it's so important to have that first consultation, because it's going to give us, you guys are going to lead the direction with where our testing is going to go.
Well, how much time, let's say I have my consultation, my first consultation or my second consultation, how much time does the doctor spend with me with telemedicine?
Oh, absolutely. So your consultation's a half an hour, but when you meet with the physician, you're with them for a good half an hour. And if your time goes over that, that's not to say they're going to cut you off. They really spend as much time as you need with you, but they do have blocked off the half an hour. And they're with you through that whole thing, breaking down everything, making everything make sense. And then on top of that, you also have an assigned patient care coordinator, which is pretty much your new best friend in your pocket. You could text them, you could call them, you could email them. They're there for you to answer your questions, fill, your prescriptions if need be, schedule the appointments. They're kind of walking through this process with you so that you're not alone, because you're not. We want to make sure that you are getting to what you want to be, how you want to feel, and feeling better.
Well, you mentioned insulin resistant at one point earlier. So could you define a little bit more about how that plays a role in a person's state of being and state of health?
Absolutely. So when you are insulin resistant, your body is not breaking down things and recognizing, I guess we'll put this in layman terms, recognizing food and sugars the way it's supposed to be. So long term with insulin resistance, the progression is insulin resistance, pre-diabetic, diabetic. That's typically where you're at. So your body isn't producing as much insulin and the things it needs to break down your foods and recognize your levels. So most time insulin resistant people, they crave sugar. They crave lots of sugar. They crave carbs. And that might be your first sign if that's what you're craving all the time and you're feeling hungry all the time. Because I was a foodie. I loved to eat. So when you're not pre-diabetic, but when you're insulin resistant, the biggest thing is to balance the hormones. So they put me on a GLP-1 peptide, which is a semaglutide. The blend we use is a semaglutide cyanocobalamin blend. The cyanocobalamin helps the absorption of the semaglutide and helps it be more productive. This isn't Ozempic, but it is a very similar thing to Ozempic.
Okay, so let's stop you there real quick, because you brought that up, okay? And I've been kind of on the warpath when it comes to Wegovy and Ozempic, and then it comes to this other thing that's going on now, this other drug that's supposed to lower a person's A1C. It has a big story to tell. I don't know if you heard of that one, but you have these dancing people all over the place. And the challenge I'm having is that these are, yes, semaglutides, okay, and they lower a person's A1C, they help them lose weight, etc. But they have all these side effects. How do we get past that and actually bring a person to optimum health without
great question. Yep. So I'm not a physician. I'm just going to attest to my story and my understanding of it. So the idea of this is to, get your body processing things properly. It's supposed to be a guide to help you achieve optimum health. It's not meant to be a long-term solution. So the goal is, when our company, prescribes this, is to get you eventually to a microdose, to where your body's still getting that signal, but it's a very, very small amount and your body is functioning optimally. So there's so many ways you can do this. It's, you can do it by adjusting your diet, your behavior, lifestyle changes long-term. The idea behind the semaglutide is to help your body produce what it's supposed to produce when you're eating. It makes you feel fuller longer. It suppresses the appetite. It helps with insulin and helps monitor your blood glucose levels. So the idea is, though, once you're getting to a healthier weight, to maintain that through lifestyle changes and just stay on a microdose. To mitigate the side effects, though, I mean, it's really on a per person basis. You know, semaglutide isn't a one shoe fits all approach. You know, someone might be a better fit for like tirzepatide because, you know, sometimes semaglutide does have nausea, does cause other issues. But for the most part, what we've seen is those side effects are very, very minuscule in the beginning. And then most people feel okay. A lot of the times, though, why people are having the significant side effects that they're having is because they're not dosing properly from the beginning. You're supposed to start very, very low and titrate up and then stay at a level and then titrate back down to stay at that micro dose. But again, it's all very personalized, which is why you can meet with the doctor as many times as you need to, why we do follow-up labs, you know, mostly every 8 to 10 weeks, why we have such a holding hand approach, because it's very individualized. You know, my body and your body are not going to act the same. You know, my hormone levels are different from your hormone levels. So we can't take it as, hey, you know, this dose is going to be the same for this person's dose, because that's not the case. So I think that's where it gets such a bad rap, because it's not being utilized at a personalized level. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. But the challenge is that it's being pushed now on almost any person that they can push it on. You see?
Yes. Yep. I agree. Unfortunately, it's, you know, just like Stanley Cups, it's a popular item right now. Everybody wants it. Not everybody's going to use it long term. I think that this phase is going to pass, but I do think it's helping more people than hurting more people, because a lot of people don't have the education and knowledge to lose the weight they need to without help. And this is helping people get to a healthier weight, helping them get a healthier body. I'm losing my train of thought. I think it's helping more than hurting. And I think that the more education we have about it, the better people are going to be.
Well, Evolve is really beating the path and leading the way in that. And I really value that. Tell us something. Many of us, we have companies that we work with and things like that. And a lot of my clients, they have what's called FSA accounts where they use a little card. Okay, can they use that with Evolve?
So my understanding, as HSAs and FSAs, they act like credit cards. So yes, you can utilize that. I'm going to say more often than not, regular health insurance is not accepted, because health insurance wants you to have a diagnosis. They want you to be sick before you can get a treatment plan. Our approach is, you are driving your healthcare. We're not diagnosing you with something. We're hoping to prevent. A prevention and alternative method to health. But yes, the FSAs and HSAs more often than not are covered.
You know, an old saying is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. But these days, they want to give you basically an ounce of cure, for a pound of sickness that's only going to get worse.
Right.
And this challenge that we're dealing now in the States. So when we kind of hone in on individuals that may be dealing with those cravings, the ghrelin levels affect them tremendously. And how does Evolve help them with that? Do they suppress ghrelin or increase it? And tell us a little bit about ghrelin as well, if you can.
So I'm not on the physician side, so that isn't my scope necessarily. I'm more of the business relations and the liaison from patients and health professionals to Evolve. So that would be a better conversation for the doctors or our patient care coordinators, which I would love to set you up with in the future.
We're going to hold you to that, because there's so many things, so many questions I have and I'd love to get Evolve doctors in here on Crush Your Mountain, because people need to know what their options are. You see,
Oh,
many
absolutely.
doctors, and many of these doctors develop God complexes, and they will tell you what you should do. Okay, and many times what we do, and I'm not saying that doctors don't know anything; they absolutely do. They're the professionals. They're the ones that we're going to. However, there's a difference between being your coach and your consultant, your consigliere, as it were, and your boss or
Hmm.
your parent. And many times they take that God complex mentality. And so what we want individuals to have is the knowledge that they have options, that they can go areas that they can, to optimize their health and get better, as opposed to just manage their sickness. You see, the idea is
Absolutely.
not to be sick. So that's the idea. So tell us this. In dealing with many of our doctors with Evolve, do they reach I think I almost said globally, but nationwide, or how does your communication work?
Absolutely. So we have a team of physicians that are licensed in all 50 states. So we aren't limited geographically by any means. All of your, visits are virtual, so we can see you anytime, anywhere for the most part. Does that answer that question?
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. And then I wanted to touch on, you said that, you know, cost being a factor. So I wanted to dive in a little bit more to that because I'm very familiar with the insurance side. That's, my past. And, you have individuals paying $700 a month to pay for their insurance, right? Either getting taken out of their paycheck or they're paying themselves. So imagine that savings utilized for, your treatment plans. And $299 is nothing to retain a team of physicians to be working in your corner. So a lot of people are hesitant to concierge practice because you're paying out of pocket, but you're actually paying more for insurance and not utilizing it. It's just your approach and what you're looking at. Like I know a family's insurance plan is like $1,500 a month, right? So imagine driving your own healthcare, saving more long term. Going with a health sharing program for emergency basis, for emergencies, because doctors do serve a purpose. Insurance does serve a purpose, but it's just opening up your mind to not following the masses and taking control of your health.
It does make sense. It makes sense to be able to have a doctor at your disposal, mm-hmm. as opposed to paying to go to someone that's basically just patching up your illness. Okay. Yep. The idea is to keep you well and get you in the top state, you see. So again, if we need to touch base with Evolve, if we want mm-hmm. to set things up with them, how do we go about it?
So we make it very, very simple. So www.evolvetelemed.com. The site is very, very user-friendly. You could press start now. And you could schedule your consultation on the page Contact Us. You could schedule your initial consultation right online. Or there's a 1-800 number at the bottom. You could call that and set that up right there.
Cool. So the other thing is this. Now, I'm going to imagine that there's a cost to each test. Am I correct?
Yep. So our lab services vary from $149 to $499, depending on what you have. If you, piece a couple together, it might be more expensive, but we have a partnership with LabCorp. So these prices are a little less expensive than what it would be if you were to walk in and tell them, hey, I want these labs done. Oftentimes that would be about $1,500 because I had that experience. So again, $149 to $499 for your lab work.
Yeah, I get it. I had tests with my FMD, and just one test was like $900. So yeah, I get it. So the idea is to make affordable healthcare available to everyone as much as possible. You see. Mm-hmm. Now, you said something else though about yourself. We're gonna just kind of get a little personal here, if you don't mind.
Bring it on, Henry. Bring it on.
Anytime we have this sort of model quality type of guest, You know, this is kind of this that has that supermodel look. We
Oh
gotta
my
jump
gosh.
into this. We gotta ask some
There's that
questions.
blushing that you were warning me about.
So here's the thing. So you mentioned CrossFit. Are you
Mhm.
still doing CrossFit? And how do you manage your number one, your muscle development, as well as and balance that with your food intake?
Yep. So yes, I am a CrossFit coach. I coach part-time. I have an 8-year-old, so she pretty much owns my schedule. So I can't commit to, a part-time basis, but I still am coaching. Um, and yeah, so what am I doing for myself? So I'm 38 years old, right? So obviously I'm not functioning like I did in my 20s. But if I'm being honest here, I am physically in better shape than I was in my 20s because of my education and understanding of my body today. So, what am I taking today? I'm on that microdose of semaglutide just to stay managed. I eventually am going to titrate off, I believe, and test that. I'm also on something called sermorelin. Sermorelin is a peptide, and what that does is it triggers a pulse to the pituitary gland to produce more growth hormone. So growth hormone is, you know, a hormone in the body that is pretty much responsible for everything. So it's going to help maintain and build muscle mass. It's going to help with recovery. It's going to help with metabolism. It's going to help with collagen production. So it's kind of a multifunctional peptide sermorelin that I'm taking to help feel my best, because as we get older, our processes get lower and lower and lower. We're not producing as much growth hormone. So what this does is it helps trigger a pulse to help produce more so that I can have levels like I was in my 20s. Now, with that being said, if I ever was to get off of it, because it's not a supplement, it's not replacing, my body will still produce growth hormone just at my 38-year-old level. So that's one thing I'm doing. I'm also on a liquid vitamin D because I am very, very I want my things that I take to be bioavailable. And to be honest, I don't know what's getting absorbed in my gut. My gut health is, I think, pretty decent, but there's, again, no telling what's getting absorbed. So I like the vitamin D because under the tongue sublingual, it is a little more bioavailable than a pill. I'm also on an iron supplement because I'm a female and I probably don't have enough meat. And my levels were low last labs. What else do I take? I do electrolytes. I do a pre-digested whey and collagen blend protein powder. And I also count macros. I am a nutrition coach also. So I pretty much do 25 grams of protein 4 to 5 times a day, depending on, my workouts. I time my meals based on my workouts. So my carbs are closer to my workouts so that I can burn faster. My fat meals are closer to bedtime because that's a slow burn overnight. What else? I'm trying to think what else I take. And magnesium. Magnesium. If you're taking vitamin D, you have to have magnesium because they work together. Yes. So I take magnesium at night. It also helps kind of relax your muscles, relax the smooth muscles, and helps put you into a more restful sleep.
Absolutely. Tell us this though, and we're venturing into looking into the care of women. I don't think we value the health and well-being of our women population the way we should. So my question is, what can we do? What can a young woman do who has a busy schedule? What can she do in terms of managing her macros, as well as managing her muscle retention? Okay, because as time goes on, our sarcopenia becomes more and more challenging. So please talk to us a little bit about that.
So first off, I would say get labs done. We need to make sure your hormones are balanced to make sure that you're functioning optimally. I think that is first most important, is making sure you know where your levels are, because someone whose levels are off obviously isn't functioning the way they need to be. So that would be the first thing where I would start. Second thing is knowing your body. Some people process meat different than others. I mean, there's a whole, you could I'm a firm believer that like eat for your DNA, eat for your ancestry, because our bodies, we have our DNA and our genes all have memory. So I think it's really important to know where you came from and kind of look at that diet, look at how they ate, because that, we have here in the United States, the American diet. Well, our bodies are not used to the American diet. Like my genealogy is used to fish and figs and fruits and things like that. So I think it's important to, number one, like identify with who you are as a person. And as a female, it's very, very important to know that your body needs glucose. Your body needs carbs. Do not be afraid of carbs. You need them. It feeds your brain. A lot of these diets, yes, they serve a purpose, but are they sustainable long term? Again, it depends on the person. It's very individualized. So I'm going to say in that department, hire a coach that you can work one-on-one with so that you can do what's best for you, because what's best for me isn't necessarily what's best for another female.
That's so very true. You mentioned the American standard, or the standard American diet, and that acronym is SAD. So the SAD diet. But the thing is, I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's getting sadder. All right. And the reason why I say that, have you seen the latest commercial, the latest cereal commercial? Okay, they have a certain cartoon tiger and a certain tropical bird fly into this family's house and say, when I say cereal, you say dinner. So now they're promoting this stuff, okay, as a nice, affordable way to have a healthy meal. All right. Now, if we look at that stuff, it's loaded with sugar. And yes, you may need carbohydrates, but do you need that much?
No. No. So, again, it's such a vicious system.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're glad that we have individuals, companies like Evolve, that want to bring in individuals to optimum health, educate them, give them the education, the insight that they need to take charge of their health and not be suckered in nor sucked in to the sad American diet that's happening now, that's getting worse, and really putting people in worse states of health just for the sake of profit. You see, everyone benefits. Pharmaceutical, big agriculture, they benefit, but the little guy, the person who's just trying to stay healthy and not watch his family fall into dementia, fall into type 2 diabetes, fall into being a double amputee, that guy pays the price. So again, we want to thank you so very much for all of your information. You told us where we can go to find Evolve, and we'd love to see about getting one of our doctors from Evolve on to talk with us at length in terms of how they help individuals here in the United States. In the meantime, I've got one more question that I got to ask. Okay, I ask all my guests this question, and I'm really happy to just have you and spend some time with you. Love your energy and your intelligence and insight. You bring it, and we're glad that you do. So, Brittany Sirota, let me ask you this one question. What does it mean to you to crush your mountain?
To crush my mountain would mean to be able to make an impact on so many people that we can move mountains. Our current state of being is not where we need to be. We have so many people that are disconnected, not feeling their best, anxiety, depression, not happy, all different realms of health. For me to crush my mountain would mean to be able to move mountains, to be able to help the masses live happier, healthier, more productive lives.
Absolutely perfect. Really appreciate that point, because and that's something we have to do for one another, because when we are doing it alone, it's going to take time, but it can take less time if we have a coach, if we have doctors with your best interests in mind, if we have individuals that are going to help us get better, as opposed to just get well, as opposed to just get better.
Absolutely. It's all about empowerment. And that's the theme right now in life is just becoming empowered. Take control of your life, of your health. Just embody that. Like, can you feel it? Like, just, that's what needs to happen. And that's how I would crush my mountain, is just to give you an ounce of that so that you can take control and, drive your life.
Indeed, absolutely. So we're going to thank you so very much for being with us today. You're just a joy to be with and hang out with, So, and one of these days, you're going to have to put me through the paces. And get CrossFit and kind of build a little bit more muscle or something. Get back on track. But we're going to do that one of these days. Please touch base with me as in terms of which doctor is available as soon as we can. And
absolutely.
I want to just tell everyone, once again, if this information is important to you, please like and subscribe. If in fact you want to gain more insight in terms of what Brittany does, what EVOLVE does, feel free to reach out. I'll have the links and information in my in the show notes. And in the meantime, as I always tell you at this time, make your doctor your coach. Don't just climb your mountain, crush it. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Henry.